good. I'm doing good too. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be here. Y'all were a lot of fun last night. Y'all were laughing and making it fun for me, so I really appreciate that. And I really wanted to be here, and I'm glad I am here. And I'll tell you at the end why I really wanted to be here and what I had to go through to be here, but I'm so happy to do it because I wanted to be with you guys. Let me ask you this question. How many of you in here would like to learn how to do what I did last night? All right, good, because that's the only thing I know how to teach you. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to teach you how to do it. Here's another question. It's somewhat of a loaded question, but if you had the ability to do what I did last night, meet 150 people, nobody believes they have the ability to do that. So let's simplify it down to a believable level. And you might not even believe this, but let's say you could just walk into a room and meet 30 or 40 people and remember their name, and you can. But, just a smaller percentage of what I did. If you had the ability, hypothetically, if you had that ability to remember names, and whenever you see them later, 6 weeks later, they come back to bowl or play video games or whatever, you're able to call them by their name. Or maybe it's not on that scale. Maybe you might not be able to do that. But if you could remember names, how many of you believe it would help you build relationships and make more money? Good. Because that's what I want to do. I want to take the leap from yesterday being fun and amazing and a Vegas show, which is kind of what it is, to today. How can we make more money by having a better memory? And that's really what this is about. I'm going to teach you the techniques, but my motivation is if you learn these techniques, you'll be able to increase your bottom line by generating more income because you're building relationships. Maybe you're training your employees and they're remembering what they learned the first time. You don't have to waste money retraining them, giving speeches without notes, that kind of thing. There are 5 things that you need to memorize anything. And if you want to write these 5 things down, you can. You don't have to, but hopefully if you have a good memory, then you don't have to, right? The 5 things that you need to memorize anything are this. They are focus, file, picture, action, review. I'll say those again. Focus, file, picture, action, review. Now you say them with me. What are those 5 things? Focus, file, picture, action, review. Number 1, focus. Good nutrition and exercise will help your focus. Spinach and blueberries, omega-3s, drinking plenty of water. When I was training for the 2009 USA Memory Championship, and yes, there is something called the USA Memory Championship, and it's just as cool as it sounds. I competed against 50 guys. I competed from 2008 to 2013, and I competed against 50 guys, and it is mainly guys. It's 90% male, and people always ask me, why is it 90% guys at a memory tournament? I don't know. My theory is the guys think it's cool to sit around and memorize a deck of cards 365 days, an hour a day, and ladies know it's not. Okay? It's the only thing I can come up with. But it attracts an interesting group of guys. Most of them play Dungeons and Dragons. They live in their mother's basement. And they have invisible girlfriends. And in 2009, I wanted to be king of this group, so I started training like a madman to become king of the nerds. In the process of training to become king of the nerds and win this nerd tournament, I lost 20 pounds. My friends were like, dude, is this a nerd tournament or a marathon? I'm like, it's a nerd tournament. But the better fit my body is, the better fit my brain is. I lost 20 pounds, I became king of the nerds. The next year, 2010, training for that tournament, I lost 20 pounds. 20 pounds. And people will always say, congrats, that's 40 pounds. It is not. It was the same 20 pounds, okay? I celebrated with rum and cokes for 6 months and gained it back. And I need to start training for another nerd tournament now. But the point is this, when I was training for that tournament, I was so focused on my health and nutrition because the first key to your memory is what? Focus. Your health and nutrition will make an impact on your focus. Avoiding excessive alcohol, avoiding excessive salt, spinach, blueberries, omega-3s. I didn't drink last night, but I'm going to be boozing it up tonight. okay? I didn't drink last night because I knew it would affect my memory today, my ability to focus today. With that said, if an Olympic athlete walked in this room right now, one of the most fit person in the country, could they memorize 150 names in this room and a 50-digit number just because they're fit? No, they need a technique. 1%, I would say, of what I do is nutrition, avoiding alcohol the night before, omega-3, drinking plenty of water. But I would say 99% of what I do is technique. So let me give you a technique to improve your focus. Here's the deal. You walk into a room and you shake the handshake breaks. 2 seconds later, what happens? You forget their name. Has that happened to anybody in here? Yeah, someone see 2 hands up on that, right? And I said this yesterday. The most honest thing we could say to that person is, hey, I wasn't even listening to you, right? It's not a memory problem. It's a focus problem. You weren't paying attention. You weren't focused. This is what's going on in your brain. You're thinking to yourself, have I seen that person before? Do I want to do business with that person? What do I think of that person? What does that person think of me? Do I show that stain on my shirt from Burger King this morning? Hey, my name's Ron. It's good to meet you. And that's why you don't remember names, because all this other stuff is going through your head other than focusing on what they're about to say, which is their name. So change it up. And from now on, no longer no longer be thinking, what do I think of him? What does he think of me? Blah, blah, blah. Start doing this one thing. Every time you meet a new person, every time you see a new person from now on, and you're walking towards them, develop this habit. This habit alone will triple your name retention. Why? Because you'll start hearing the names. That's the first step. And this is what you do. As you're walking towards that person, ask yourself this question. What is their name? 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 Do not say that out loud. Okay. What's the number 2 key to your memory? File. Let me give you a picture of what I'm talking about when I mean a file. This is how most of your brains work. You meet somebody and they say their name is Brian. That name goes in your ear and it goes on the floor of your memory. And then you meet somebody named Karen, in your ear, the floor of your memory. Then you meet Courtney. That name goes in your ear, the floor of your memory. You meet Michelle, in your ear, the floor of your memory. You meet Brian. That name goes in your ear, the floor of your memory. And then you meet Steve. Name goes on the floor of your memory. Then you read a new business book. That data goes on the floor of your memory. Then you go to a seminar like this and learn some good information. The knowledge goes in your ear and it goes on the floor of your memory. And then you meet Frank and George. And then 6 weeks later, somebody walks into your place or you see them 6 weeks later and they say, George, how you doing, man? Hey, it's so good to see you. How you been? And George, those gerbils that run around in your brain, they panic and they go, oh my God, no, that's not it. 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 No. 2 hours later, you're driving home and what happens? Yeah, your mind goes, ha, look what I found. You want the name now? You're like, no, I don't want the name now. I wanted it 2 hours ago. The name was up in your brain. That's not the problem. The problem is it wasn't in a file. If this is what your file cabinets looked like in your office, you'd never be able to retrieve data quickly. So in your office, you put information in file folders or you put it in a file on a computer. But you don't throw it on the floor of the room because that would be foolish. Yet that's what we are doing with our memories every day. How many of you have kids in school? They study for a test. They go in and take the test. They fail the test. They turn to one of their friends when they walk out of the classroom and they ask their friend, what was the answer to number 12? And their friend says, Abraham Lincoln. And your son or daughter thinks, oh yeah, it was Abraham Lincoln. They knew the information, but your son or daughter threw the data on the floor of their brain instead of placing it in a file folder where they could retrieve it later. Now, the next question is okay, Ron, you sold me. I need a filing system. What's a filing system? A filing system is a spot around a room that you have memorized. I've memorized maps of rooms. Let's do it here in this room. Everybody say number 1 is the screen. What's 1? Number 2 is the those candles over there. So number 2 is the candles. What's 2? 1, 2. Number 3 is the computers. What's 3? Number 4 is those lights right there. What's 4? Number 5 is the clock. What's 5? So what's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6 is the doors. Well, let's make number 6 those flags. So what's 6? Number 7, we will make that speaker over there. So what's 7? 8's that door. What's 8? 9 will be these tables. What's 9? And 10 will be the stage. What's 10? Let's say those together. What's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Can I get one volunteer to say those? All right, there you go. Very good. Everybody give him a hand there. Did a good job. Okay, so what I have in my brain is I have locations memorized around rooms. I've mapped out my house. I've mapped out my friend's house. You could map out your arcades, or you could map out your bowling alleys, or your entertainment centers. You could walk in the front door and make number 1 the first spot. And then you could make, going around clockwise or counterclockwise, you could number 25 or 30 spots inside your entertainment center, inside your bowling alley there. Those could be your locations. And these would be files, and you could do it as a company, as an organization. So then anytime you wanted to teach your employees something new and you didn't want to have to retrain them and 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 retrain them, they could learn it the first time and memorize it. But the first step is they would need files. So I would encourage you to create files as an organization in y'all's centers. That's the first step, files. I'll show you how this all comes together. Focus, file, what's the next step? Picture. Whatever you want to remember, it has to be a picture. You have to be able to see it. You have to be able to imagine it. For example, last night, I had predetermined pictures for everybody's first names, pretty much. Some of you maybe not, but pretty much you almost all had common names. Steve was a stove, Brian was a brain, Karen was a carrot, Michelle was a missile, Lisa was the Mona Lisa, Frank was a hot dog, a Frankfurter, Matt was a doormat, Mark was a marker, John, I hate to break the news to you, but whoosh, I use a toilet. Okay. Ben, I use a bear from Grizzly Adams, the bear. Ben's always a bear for me from Grizzly Adams. So when I was remembering your names last night, I was really seeing pictures. And I'll be honest with you, I've been doing this 26 years now. I learned it when I was 18, so I'll let you do the math or whatever and figure it out. But when I was 18 years old, I took a memory course. People always ask, and they ask me on the shuttle back, how did you get involved in this? When I was 18 years old, I was a telemarketer. I called up somebody and I said, hey, we want to clean your chimney. And he said, we don't want our chimney cleaned. We're trying to sell our house. Thanks for calling. And I said the words that changed my life. I said, sir, don't hang up the phone. If you're trying to sell your house, you need a clean chimney. He laughed. He said, no, I don't, but I do need a good telemarketer. Will you go to work for me? And this was him talking to me. Will you go to work for me? I sell memory training seminars, and I'll pay you more than you're making now, which was a pretty safe bet, okay? I started taking down his information, and my sales manager was like, oh, did you get a sale? I'm like, no, I got a new job. Went to work for him the next day. I was 18 years old in July of 1991, and that was 27 years ago almost, and it's pretty much all I've ever done. This is all I've done for the last 27 years with one exception I'll share with you in a second. But that's an important part of this story, because he didn't hire me because I have a good memory. Because these 5 steps, if anybody follows them, anybody can do this. Having a good memory was not a requirement for this job, because anybody can do it if you walk through these 5 steps. When I got to this 3rd step, picture, the way I got good at names 18 years ago, and it was not natural for me. But every time I met somebody, I would say, okay, the name is Brian. What's a picture for Brian? Brian. Well, if I just change 2 letters, Brian's a brain. Okay, Brian's a brain. From then on, the last 26 years, every Brian is a brain. It took me about 6 months to a year to come up with 1,000 pictures for 1,000 names. If you want to skip that year, 6 months in a year, and you want to have it in 2 minutes, I could give it to you for free in 2 minutes. Write this number down. It's not my phone number, but it is a phone number. 214-220-4691. 214-220-4691. That is a computer. And the only word that computer understands is the word memory. If you text that computer the word memory, you will get my pictures for 1,600 names that took me 1 year to develop. You will get it in 2 minutes, and you'll get it for free. It's my gift to you. But to remember anything, you have to have pictures for names, 214-220-4691, word memory. To remember those numbers last night, I had to have pictures for numbers. So let's say I had pictures for numbers and have pictures for names. How did I memorize that number? Well, let's say my picture for the number 11 is a goalpost, like on a football field, right? Let's say my picture for the number 16 is candy, sweet 16. Let's say my picture for the number 8 is a snowman because it's shaped like a number 8. Well, if I took my files and right here I imagined a goalpost, and right there I imagined a snowman, and right there I imagined candy, and then I remembered those, really I'm imagining the number 11, 8, 16, right? Does that kind of make sense? Just bear with me for a second. Focus, file, picture, what's the next step? Action. To remember anything, you need action tied to it. You need to involve your emotions. How many of you know where you were on September 11th? How many of you know where you were on October 25th of that year? Nobody. Why? Nobody. Why? Because there was no action. The action and emotion of September 11th, you're going to remember that till the day you die. October 25th, 2001, you probably didn't remember it 6 months later or 1 month later. Why? No action and emotion. So when you see pictures that you want to remember, last night I was having to see the pictures with your name and the pictures of that number with tons of action and emotion. What's the last step? Review. People ask me on the shuttle back, Ron, how long are you going to remember these names? Well, if I don't review, which is the last step, it'll fade in a day or two. But if I review, I can remember it for as long as I want. Review every 2 or 3 days until it's solid is the key to long-term memory. Let's tie this all together. Number 1, are you focused? If you're focused, just say yes. Do you know the 10 files around this room? If you do, just say yes. Okay. Now we're going to have a memory test. Do not write these words down. I'm going to give you 10 words. You are going to memorize these words using only your memory and this system that I have just taught you. We're going to place these words around the room, and you're going to be amazed at how easy this is and how good your memory really is. You're going to be amazed. Number 1, what's our file? The word that we want to remember, don't write it down. The word we want to remember is money. So we see it as a picture, and with action and emotion, we visualize it on our file. So I want you to see money flying out of that screen, millions and millions and millions of dollars in Bitcoin and flying out of that screen. What's flying out of that screen? Money. Number 2, what's your file? Candles. On those candles, I want you to imagine those are clocks, clocks, and cuckoo birds are coming out. Cuckoo, cuckoo, which that's what you're thinking right about now, right? You're like, cuckoo's right, Ron. Keyword over there, that is now a clock. It's an alarm clock with cuckoo birds. Clock. What's the word there? What's the word there? Number 3, what's your file? I want you to imagine I'm gathering everybody's cell phones up and we're putting them over there, and they've got everybody's cell phones and the cell phones are ringing. What do they have over there? Now understand this, the computers is the file, cell phone is the picture, the action is putting them over there. Number 4, what's your file? On the light, I want y'all to see a plant, and a big old huge plant is growing out of that. Maybe we're using the light from the plant to grow, the light from the lights to grow the plants. What is growing up that light? Number 5, what's your file? Clock. On the clock right there, we've got a wanted poster, and it says wanted, dead, or alive, and George, it's got your picture in it. How much money we hunting you down for? What's the reward? $100,000. All right, there's no self-esteem problem here, right? I want you to see George's picture right there, and above it, it's written reward. What's the word that's written above it? Number 6, what's the file? Right there, I want you to imagine that those flags are actually goalposts on a football field. So we've got a football right here. We kick that football up. Everybody look at the flags and go like that. It's good. What was on the computers? What was over here? What was on the clock? That's confusing. What was on the flags? Number 7, what's your file? On the speaker, I want you to imagine an organizer. I take this organizer right here, this day timer, and I throw it over there and I set it on fire. I'm ripping the pagers out, Bill. It's Bill, right? Yeah, I remember that. Bill's a dollar bill. You got dollar bills all over your face. I want you to imagine organizer over there. So what's on the speaker? Organizer. Number 8, what's your file? Right there, I want y'all to see an efficiency. That door is the door to an efficiency apartment. Keyword's efficiency. I used to live in an efficiency apartment in Houston, and that thing was so small, I could stand in the shower, flush the toilet, and put something in the microwave all at the same time. I don't apologize for that picture. I know you just ate. But I want you to, what's this a door to right here? What's on the speaker? What's on the flags? Number 8, what's your file? Or 9, what's your file? Give me a word, any random word that has nothing to do with tables. Give me a random word. Cheese, all right, cheese. I heard somebody said, you said cheese. I want you to see cheese right here, and everybody's eating cheese. These tables are made out of cheese. What are these tables made out of? And number 10, last one, we're gonna put your favorite sports team up here. What is your favorite sports team? Cowboys. I heard somebody, I'm from Dallas. All right. I heard somebody say the Chicago Bears. I meant your favorite professional team, but I'm just kidding. See whoever you want. I'm just kidding. My favorite team's the Texas Rangers. We've never won the championship ever, so I have no reason to make fun of anybody. See your favorite team up here. They're signing an autograph, or they're throwing you a baseball. You're getting your picture made with them. Or maybe your favorite team is your little son's or daughter's little league team. See your kids playing baseball up here on their team, with their team. Key word is team. What's right here? What's on the tables? What's on the door? Look around the room and see if you remember them all. Test yourself. Who thinks they got them all? Who wants to give it a try? Want to give it a try? All right, yes, sir. Right here. I don't know your name, but you're sir, go ahead. Boom, there you go. Give him a hand. All right. Who else got all 10 of them? Awesome. Guys, if you did not remember one of them, here's the reason why. The picture wasn't strong enough. You didn't involve enough action and emotion. The misconception is that when I took this seminar in August of 1991, that I was the star of the class, that I was getting all the answers right, and I was just answering more than anybody, and they were like, oh, you're gonna be a memory champion one day. Not at all. I was there and people were getting 10 right, and they were getting perfect scores all around me, and I was like, oh my gosh, why am I not getting this right? And I asked the instructor, I'm like, man, why do I always miss 2 or 3 every test? He said, Ron, it's easy. Either you forgot one of your files, and I said, no, I knew those. And he said, yeah, most people do. He said, then it's for the other reason. You're not making the pictures emotional enough. You're not using enough action. Imagine you smashing or crashing, or when you see that reward sign, see the letters in gold. When you see that football going through, imagine the air whisking by and the flags blowing. When you see that organizer over there, see the flames from the fire, setting it on fire and feel the heat. He said, Ron, if you start making it more emotional like that, you'll start getting perfect scores. And I did. That's how you memorize. Now, here's the deal. We could actually memorize 20 or 30 words today if we had the time. I could take you out to this lobby right here, and we could number 10 words out there, or 10 files out there. Then we would have 10 in here and 10 there. Then I could give you 20 words, right? And then if we could do that, we could number 10 at the hotel easily. Then I could give you 30 words. There was a 6-year-old little girl named Kaylee. I don't have any kids myself, but a friend of mine does, and she has a 6-year-old little girl, and that little girl came to me one day, and she wanted to learn the presidents of the United States, because in my full 8-hour memory courses, I teach the adults how to memorize all the presidents using this same concept here. And she was 6, and she saw that, and she wanted to learn how to do it. And she said, will you teach me how to do that? And I was thinking, man, she's 6. There's no way a 6-year-old could be able to memorize 44 at the time, 44 words. But she was so persistent, and I'm so glad she was, because it was one of the biggest breakthroughs mentally I had for my life in my business career of how young somebody could grasp this. I took this 6-year-old little girl, and I went to her bedroom, and I said, Kaylee, pick 5 pieces of furniture. She said, my bed, the dresser, my sister's bed, the closet, the window. She was picking her files. I didn't bother telling her focus, file, picture, glue. I didn't tell her all that, or action. Instead, I said, Kaylee, this first one over here is your bed. The president's Washington. What does that sound like to you? She said, it sounds like a washing machine. I picked Kaylee up and I set her right there. And I said, Kaylee, imagine you're in the washing machine. And I shook her like this, like she was in the washing machine. I fed her the imaginary clothes. I gave her the imaginary soap. And for 30 seconds, she was in a washing machine on her bed, and I was shaking her like she was in it. Then I picked that little girl up, and I took her to her number 2 piece of furniture. And I said, Kaylee, the next president is Adams, John Adams. We're just going to remember Adams. Adams sounds like what? She said, Adams sounds like a dam on a river. I said, Kaylee, I want you to imagine you're on a dam on a river, and you're swimming in the water behind the dam. So she's swimming over here. A 6-year-old little girl, 44 presidents, 44 pieces of furniture. Then we went back around the room and the house. It took 60 to 90 minutes, 90 minutes tops. And I said, Kaylee, tell me who the presidents are. She ran around the house and she said, Washington, washing machine, a dam, Adams, a chef, Jefferson. She called him Thomas Jefferson. Medicine for Madison, a man in a rowboat from Monroe. She memorized all 44 presidents, and she's 6 years old. When she got to number 30 and said Coolidge, I thought, oh my God, if I get this on video, I'm gonna make $1 million. I said, Kaylee, can we do this one more time, but can I film it? She said, you could film it for $1. I got the $1, I filmed it, I put it on YouTube, and it's one of my best YouTube videos. Yeah. Here's the concept. Whatever you want to remember, you have to have predetermined locations. When you go back to your company, when you're having your staff meetings or your sales meetings, if you have something you want them to grasp, your mission statement or 10 questions or 10 things you want them to do every day that they can't forget, or presentation points that you want them to talk about, whatever it is, map out your entertainment center there with locations. And then, let's say it's a presentation you want them to learn. Take your presentation and break it down, those 10 points, into 10 pictures. And let's take the hypothetical presentation. Maybe the presentation is how you can make more money in your business. That's just hypothetical. First point's money, that you want to make more money in your business. What are you going to see right there? You want to remind them all to be good time managers. What are you going to see right there? You want to remember them all to be good communicators with your customers. What are you going to put right there? Now, let's give that speech or presentation without using any notes. You're up in front of the group. You've taken your presentation and putting it around the room, and you say to the group, guys, I want to talk to you today. No notes in your hands. You're just looking around the room. I want to talk to you today about how to make more money here in this entertainment business that we have. The first key to making more money is managing our time effectively. We've all got 24 hours in a day. Let's all be good time managers, Sam. Not only do we want to be good time managers, we want to be good communicators, asking the right questions, communicating with our customers. We want to continue to grow by educating ourselves, always taking time to educate ourselves in seminars and courses like this. We want to reward ourselves and our teams whenever they hit their. We want to become more and more. And keep being cheesy. Stop cutting the cheese at work, all right? But most important, we want to work together as a. That's how you could use this system to give a speech or a presentation and not use any notes. It's how your kids could use this system to memorize the presidents of the United States or the periodic table of elements. Replace the presidents with the periodic table of elements and see a hydrogen bomb for hydrogen, helium balloons for helium. It's how you could take notes at this conference, and you got 20 points. You got 20 points from this conference that you really want to remember. Take those 20 points, create them as pictures, and then see them around your entertainment center. Memorize it. And then when you get back to your facility, somebody says, hey, what'd you learn at that conference? You can say, well, do you want it forwards or backwards, right? Who has a question on this? This one little brief, yes, sir. Yeah, so John's asking the question, how long will this stay in your memory? And the question is this, it's up to you. For the rest of the day, you'll be able to remember all 10 of these points. I have no doubt about it. But the last step of the process, focus, file, picture, action, review. The last step of the process is review. If you don't review, this is going to fade in 2 or 3 days. So what you do to keep it in long-term memory is review every 2 or 3 days until it becomes long-term memory, and then you don't have to do that anymore. You will just know it. You'll have it in your long-term memory. One more question. It's all we got time for. But then we'll have a break at 11. Yes, sir. Well, the 2 more questions. Let him take you the microphone. 2 questions. And then I'm going to teach you how to do names. I'm going to tell you about 2 more things, and we're done.
So if you're using the same space, say you're doing it in your office or at home, and you're using the space around you to remember things, a week later you want to remember more things and you're using the same objects? Yes. Here's the thing. If right now today, if we put George Washington up there, John Adams right there, and Thomas Jefferson right there, and then the very next day we put money and a clock to a business speech, you're not going to be in the middle of your business speech and after you say, guys, we need to be good communicators in business and James Madison. You're not going to confuse the data. As long as the lists are similar, you can use the same files over and over again with no problems. I do it all the time. Last question.
Ron White, what of your Ron 14-letter Polish name? How do you remember that name?
Well, I would tell you this, that 30% of my speeches are international speeches. In the last 4 months, I've given this in Bangkok, in Budapest, and Brussels, Belgium. And I will tell you, it's a lot harder, okay? But I'll also tell you this, it's exactly the same. But in a room this size in Bangkok, I only remember 40 names instead of 140 names. Why? Because I'm having to come up with the pictures on the spot. Somebody will say, hi, my name's Chin Shu Bain. I'm like, can you say that a little bit slower? They're like, Chin Shu Bain. So I'm like, okay, Chin Shu Bain. So it's the same process, but it just is going to take you more time. Here's a secret for names, and this is all the time I can spend on names, but it is important. You have to do more than turn the name into a picture. You have to have more than a picture for the name to remember it. You have to look at that person and pick out a distinctive feature on their face, something that stands out to you on their face. So Michelle, for her, it was her cheeks stood out to me. It was kind of her hair too, really, but her cheeks and her hair. So those became her file. I had missiles, whoosh, shooting, boom, right in there, blowing it up, but they were focusing on those features of her face. Where's Kelly in here? Kelly? The guy with the mustache? There you are. My picture for Kelly's a key. I was putting a key in your mustache. Andy, please stand up. What's it? Yeah, you don't have to say. That's his file, all right? My picture for Andy is ants. Ants like on the ground, ants drinking tea. So I saw ants drinking tea in his hair. When I ran around the room last night, I was not trying to remember your name. I was trying to remember what was your file. I was like looking, and I was like, oh, what was his file? It was his hair. What was in his hair? Ants drinking tea. Andy, oh, what was his file? Oh, it was his mustache. What was in his mustache? A key. This is how you practice this. Somebody comes into your entertainment center. You want to remember their name. Look at their face. What stands out on their face? Eyebrows. Hey, what's your name? Sam? Uncle Sam. All right, now you're talking to him and you're visualizing Uncle Sam on their eyebrows. If you get a little intense, you don't want to just stare at him like this and creep him out, okay? I know I was a little bit creepy last night. I don't have to be creepy, I just prefer to be, okay? All right? But you look at him and you imagine Uncle Sam there, and when you're walking away, you're like, okay, he's got Uncle Sam in his eyebrows, Uncle Sam in his eyebrows. Then when you see him again, he walks in the door, you see the eyebrows, you say Uncle Sam. What was number 5? What was on the TV? What was over here? What was right here? What was on the computers? What was right here? What was right here? Guys, you know them forwards, you know them backwards, you know them in and out of order. It is amazing, and all you need is more files. Let me tell you the biggest memory project that I've ever done. It's the one I'm most proud of. and it has meaning to me, but I also want to tell you about it because I think it'll open your eyes to the scope of what the human memory is capable of. After September 11th happened, I was 28 years old, and I had been teaching memory seminars for 10 years. I was sitting on my best friend's couch. He's been my best friend since I was 11 years old. His name is Brian, and this was probably November of that year. Brian turned to me and he said, man, you're going to think this is crazy. He was a high school teacher. He still is a high school teacher. We're both 45 now, about to be. And at 28, he was a high school teacher and I was a memory guy. And he said, man, you're going to think this is crazy. 2 months after September 11th, he said, but I'm going to join the Army tomorrow. I'm going to join as a reservist, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer. And he's my best friend. It was the quickest decision of my life. It did not take me 0.1 seconds to say, I'm going with you. The next day we went down. He signed up for the Army. I signed up for the Navy because I have an IQ. And we both served for 8 years. We served as reservists for 8 years, 2002 to 2010, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summertime, we were both reservists. In 2005, he was deployed to Afghanistan. He came back. In 2007, I was walking around the base, and somebody said, White, are you going to volunteer to go to Afghanistan? I said, hell no, I'm not volunteering to go. That's the dumbest question I've ever heard. I've been in the Navy 5 years. Nobody's ever asked me that question. Stupid question. An hour later, Ron, are you going to volunteer to go to Iraq or Afghanistan? No, I am not. I got a business. I got 6 months of speeches. I'd have to cancel contracts. I'd have to refund money. It would destroy my business. No, dumb question. Get away from me. An hour later, third person, I was walking by his office. He was my boss, though. That's the caveat. I couldn't tell him dumb question. I was an E6, Petty Officer First Class. He was an E7, a Navy chief. I walked by his office. White. I'm like, oh, shit. I said, yes, Chief. He said, Ron, I'm going to ask you, or White, I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to say yes. I said, Chief, I know what you're going to ask. I've been asked it twice. The answer is no. But why are you asking? He said, well, the Department of Defense told us we got to send 25 people to Iraq or Afghanistan. We're on the hit list. We've prioritized them for time and service, their pay grade, and their security clearance. You're not in the 25 that we've selected to go. But we are asking for volunteers before these people get voluntold. And I'm like, I do not want to go. He said, you don't have to go. I looked at the list. I saw who was number one on the list, and I walked out of his office. As fate would have it, number one was walking towards me down the hall, and he had no idea. And he said, dude, are you going to go? I said, I'm not. And then I asked him the question I knew. He was going. I said, are you going? I pretended like I didn't know. He said, I can't. I just been married a year. We just had we got a 1-month-old baby. I can't go. And I felt like such a jerk. I said, sorry, man. Hopefully you won't go. I got on a plane. I went to North Carolina, and I was giving a speech 2 days later. My cell phone rings. I say, this is White. Or this is Ron, and they say, Petty Officer White? And I'm like, oh my God. Grab a chair. I'm like, yeah, this is Petty Officer White. They're like, one last question. You don't have to say yes. We're just asking one round of volunteers. Do you want to go? And they clicked in my head. I didn't volunteer for the Navy to dodge this moment when it came my time. I joined the Navy for this moment. And it just clicked. And I said, yes, Chief, I'll go. 2 weeks later, I was at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, shooting an M16. 2 weeks after that, I was at Camp Ali Salim in Kuwait. 2 weeks after that, I was landed at Bagram Air Force Base in Afghanistan. I served 2007 in Afghanistan. I came back safe and sound. Not everybody did. I didn't think I was going to do one convoy. I ended up doing 51. I don't have to tell you, not everybody came back. 2,300 didn't come back, and it bothered me. So what I did when I returned, I just told you that you have 10 pieces of furniture so you could memorize 10 information. I told you if you had 20, you could do 20. I told you if you had 30, you could do 30. That is true. And if you had 2,300 pieces of furniture numbered, you could memorize 2,300 people, the heroes who paid the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan. So what I did is I spent 6 weeks and I numbered 2,300 pieces of furniture. And then I took those heroes' names and I took 10 months and I memorized the 7,000 words in sequence. Give me a 3-digit number, a number between 100 and 999. 165 was the first one I heard. You're going to open this to 165. I'll get there before you will, but it's Specialist Richard Crane. So you just said 165. I jumped to 165 in my brain, and I'll tell you it's Specialist Crane. Is that correct? That is correct. What do I do with this information? I travel around the United States with a 52-foot long wall. It's 52 feet long. It's 8 feet high. And I will write that book out from memory. It's like watching the Vietnam Wall get created, but get created from memory in front of your eyes. I took 4 or 5 minutes and I shared with you that story because I wanted to emphasize to you that I use this system to memorize 7,000 words. And I travel all around the United States writing this wall out. You can use it to give speeches without notes, a 10-point speech. You can use it to help your kids with their homework. You can use it to remember what you read. You can use it to remember what you learn in a seminar. The applications are endless. My time here is up. We're going to conclude at 10:55. I believe, Ben, is that right? Which 10:55 is still, so I got 5 minutes here. As I wrap this up, if you look on your tables there, look on your tables, you will see that I have dropped off papers on your tables. Before we do this, Ben, what are the 5 things that you need to memorize anything? Say them with me. Let's review here real quick. What are the 5 things? Focus. File. Picture. Action. Review. What is the question that you're going to ask yourself when you're walking towards somebody new from now on? What is the question? What is their name? What is their name? What is their name? All as a group together, what was the 10 words that we memorized? What were they?
Clock.
This is how you memorize. When you get back to your companies, in your next staff meeting, if you've got a mission statement or you've got 10 points that they always forget, or they've got questions that you want them to ask the customers they always forget, create 10 or 15 or 20 locations that are your company locations that everybody knows. Then take your sales presentation or your mission statement or whatever it is and have them memorize it. If you have a speech you want to give, do it this way. The applications are endless. If you look on this piece of paper right here, you will see that these are my top brain foods for good mental health. Remember, foods and focus is the big part of your memory. Berries, apples, turmerics, eggs, fish, oysters, cocoa, nuts. And then that number, 214-220-4691, is at the bottom. Text the word memory down there at the bottom. The next page is 16 ways to keep your brain healthy or fresh as you age. Fish oil, daily exercise, change something up, eat healthy, turn off the TV, reduce stress, get adequate exercise, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad for you. Cut alcohol consumption, and other great points. If you look on the back page there, you'll see I have a black belt memory course. This is my online memory course. How many of you in here have kids in school? If you do not get this for your children need to be taken away from you and given to someone who loves them. This will reduce almost all the stress they have. Seriously, there's nothing that will take away your kids' stress more than being able to walk into a test, take that test, and knowing they got it cold. I mean, just down. All they got to do is walk around the pieces of furniture in their living room. I mean, takes their stress away easy. I call it black belt memory because it's like the martial arts. You go through the first exercise and you get your white belt. Then you go through the next exercise and you get your yellow belt. By the way, you have lifetime access for this. So once you get this course, you have lifetime access. You can come back to it as many times as you want. Lifetime access. By the way, I told you that, let me finish this and then I'll tell you. You have lifetime access as many times as you want. You can go through this. You go into the white belt level. You watch the videos. It's 4 or 5 videos, each about 10 minutes long. And then you got to take a test. And then you take a test, and then it pops up. Boom! You got your white belt. So kids love it. Adults love it too. 45-year-olds love it too. 50-year-olds, 70-year-olds love it. The next one is your yellow belt. Guys, this has everything. Right now, I asked you at the beginning, if you could remember names and build relationships, would it make you more money? If the answer to that question is yes, This will help you get there. On the blue belt level, you're gonna get silly, crazy, sick good at remembering names, okay? I walk around a room and I film everybody saying their name. Then I teach you how to remember their name. And then I go back a room with the camera, and with the computer, you take the test and you get silly good at remembering names. And remember, this is all about making more money. On one of the levels, you learn how to remember what you read. On one of the levels, you're going to learn how to memorize poems or languages or quotes, numbers, facts, details. For me, it's all about making more money. If you can learn these things and get a black belt in memory, which you can, it's very easy to do. You could probably get a black belt in memory in a week or two. It's going to help you make more money, bottom line. It's going to help your kids improve their grades. This is a fabulous memory course. I will tell you this. I really wanted to be here. In 2000, a year and a half ago, somebody requested me to speak in Dallas, February 22nd at 6 p.m. If you have a calendar, you know that's tonight. Well, we did some calendar changes in my office, and when the calendar changed over, the speech that was booked a year and a half ago didn't get transferred over to the new calendar. Ben called me, so I was open. To my knowledge, I was open. Ben called me in October and said, Ron, will you speak in Colorado February 22nd in the morning in Colorado? I got nothing else to do that day. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. And Ben said something to me I'll never forget. I said, Ben, here's the fee. You pay 50% now, 50% when I speak. He said, no, Ron, it's not how we're going to do it. I'm going to pay you 100% right now, and then we're just going to do what we say I'm going to do. You're going to show up and you're going to give the speech, and I'm going to pay you 100% right now. It's never happened before in 26 years of speaking. A month later, my assistant comes to me and says, Ron, we got a problem. You're scheduled to speak February 22nd in Dallas. I'm like, oh my God. We scramble. There are no commercial flights. This is going to get me from here right now to my speech speaking 6 o'clock in Dallas. And I remembered what Ben said. We are going to keep our words and do what we say we're going to do. I got on the phone and I chartered a jet. I'm leaving at noon today. I am losing money to be here. I am paying $3,000 after my fee is all paid and done just to speak to you. But what Ben told me, I'm paying you $3,000 to give you this speech, 100% true. And Ben knows it. He's seen the receipt for the jet. But I asked myself, what's the most important thing here? Number one, most important is you keep your word. Number two, most important is these people get to learn something and they get some good material. Number three is they buy my course and help pay me back for that damn jet. Ben, let me give them, I'm sorry, let me take 60 seconds here and give you a special offer. If you get this today and help me pay for this jet, this is what I'll do. I created this just for you. This paper's nobody's ever seen it before. It's just for you. But I want to give you a Godfather offer, more than you know. If you sign up today at this 30-minute break we're about to have, it might be 25 minutes now because I've gone over. I apologize. You'll get my Spanish verbs course for free. I've thrown it in for free just to make this irresistible for you because I want you to go sign up. The speed reading, I'm going to give that to you for free just to make it irresistible. The ebooks I'm going to make irresistible to you. I'm going to give you a 45-minute one-on-one coaching call with me anytime in 2008. I normally sell that for $500, but I'm going to throw that in for free, help you memorize anything you want, one-on-one, just me and you, so you'll sign up. To make it even more special, a no-brainer deal where it says the individual, draw a line through that $597. If you give this to me at the break, you'll never find this anywhere else. It's the Jet Special. If you sign up at the break, draw a line through that $597 and write $397. I'll give it to you for $397. To make it even more special, if you have a kid, write your kids' names, 2 or 3 kids' names on there. I'll give them accounts for free just to make this even more irresistible. One-time offer, you'll never see it again. Last thing I'll say, if you want to get a company program for accounts for 10 of your employees, I've never offered this before. But I'm going to do it. If you want accounts for 10 of your employees, draw a line through that $1997 and write $997, $1,000 off. So I'm giving you some irresistible offers. Number one, it's going to help you dramatically. It's going to help your teams. It's going to help your kids, but also it's going to help me. The way you do it, you write the total, either $397 or $997 in that blank, whether it's individual, company, name, phone number, put your credit card number right there, sign it and date it. You have to give it to me at the break. There is no no other choice. The offer expires at 11:30. Thank you so much. I went over my time. I'm so sorry, Ben. Okay. Sorry for
Everybody,
going over time.
please give it up again for Ron White, everyone.